All right. So, thoughtful moment of the day. The word but. If you ever heard me talk sometimes, I feel like but is a bad word. And we use it a lot, right? And we talk to our kids or a friend or a coworker or so on. And they may say something, and since this is more for parents, I think about our kids, right? And we may have a disagreement, or they may be sharing their experience, right? And let's say it's maybe a difficult conversation between parent and child, and you say you're trying to practice reflective listening, and you hear them, and they share kind of what they're feeling and their experience, right? And you say, I hear you, that wasn't my intent, I didn't want you to feel that way. Those are all good things. And then a lot of times somebody will say, but. So I hear you, that wasn't my intent, I didn't want you to feel that way. But for me, you weren't listening, right? You don't even have to have the you weren't listening, right? The word but, what it does, it actually dismisses all the good stuff you just said, right? And it just puts the ownership back in them. And maybe it was kind of they were the owner of the problem. But if we're trying to move forward and learn, as soon as we say but, we're shaming them, right? So a different way of saying that is, again, I hear you, that wasn't my intent. Just leave out the word but. Say, can I share with you my experience? For me, this is what I was feeling, right? It's not about what they were doing. It's for me, this is what I was feeling, right? Sometimes people use the word and. That can work. I'm a little cautious sometimes about and as well. And you're always not listening to me. And, this happened again and again, right? Or it could be, and for me, I was getting frustrated. I have a difficult time in those moments, right? So if we put it about us rather than about them, there's more out for them to listen and try to understand. So think about the word but. I would caution, you using that word. I try not to ever use it, to be honest with you, in a lot of parts of my life. And when it does come out of my mouth, I stop for a second and I say, okay, is that what I meant? And if I say that, or you're a parent and you say that, it's okay to have a little humility and say, I'm sorry. That's not the word I want to use, because I truly appreciate everything you're saying. For me, can I share with you how I was feeling at that moment, right? So thank them, right? Don't use the word but. Thank them for sharing, right? And then give them your experience if that's what needs to. The other thing is, if you're feeling like, but I need to say something, ask yourself, I may feel I need to say something right now, but is it going to be productive? Right? Maybe that's when I'll use the word but. Because a lot of times it may not be in that moment. I think of my own parenting, that there's times where I use that word and things just seem to continue to happen. And then there's times where my kids have, I think of my daughter, and I'll share a quick kind of story, but where my daughter, shared with me how she was feeling, right? And it was about our relationship. And acknowledging her and what she said and just thanking her, right? I think a lot of times our kids may be ready to hear something back, so they don't share, right? So when my daughter is able to say, Dad, this is my experience, and so on, and I just say to her, whatever. Maybe it's, I hear you, sweetheart. That wasn't my intent. Thank you for sharing that with me. It means a lot. And leave it. Because the experience is your kid is opening up and sharing. And that's going to help us move forward, right? I don't need in that moment for my daughter to understand her role in it, right? That will come later, right? And it has, I've had those instances where you have a conversation like that. And I think of my son, and this happened a few months ago, him coming down the stairs after kind of a conversation like that, and him asking, hey, Dad, how are you feeling? Right? That's awesome, right? He's opening the door, right? But didn't happen overnight, and didn't happen because I always kind of say, this is how you need to do it differently, right? It's because I let him be vulnerable without being ashamed in the end, right? And rather than being ashamed, being appreciated. Thank you, sweetheart, for sharing that with me. Thank you, buddy. That means a lot, right? Those are the moments that really we can build on. So, if you're going to use the word but, think about it. Is that going to be helpful? My advice, and it's not like every situation, but I tend to try to not use that word and use another word like and, maybe share how I'm feeling. I always ask permission. Maybe I'll do a mindful moment on that. And avoid that, right? Show appreciation. That can be awesome. All right. Thanks for stopping by.